Because every time I feel like I'm looking back and making the wrong decisions, it's because I'm trying to overcome my gut feeling. I think that as long as you know the why and then what, I think the how is gotta be the most straightforward part. Every single thing we need to be very specific so we can actually know what the problems are and what solutions we can have to tackle these problems.
Attention marketers and entrepreneurs, this is Valuetising, the place where we talk about scaling brands worth promoting. If you're a mission-driven entrepreneur obsessed with creating, scaling, and exiting multi-million-dollar brands, this is for you. My name is Santiago Phoenix and I am a business growth consultant, online marketer, and investor. I have helped more than 100 7- and 8-figure founders increase profits, claim their time back, and transform the world. Now it's your turn. Welcome to the show. Hello and welcome to Valuetising. My guest today is Chandler Yan, a high-ticket closer and enrollment coach at BJK University, whose mission is to impact 1 million lives at a time. Chandler was a person who years ago helped me say yes to my dream of becoming a copywriter and getting into online business for the very first time. So I'm super thankful and grateful to talk to him today. Chandler, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, man.
Sure. So yeah, we were remembering how in 2020 you were the person who helped me say yes to that dream of becoming a copywriter. And for me, it was such a big step because I started to become a lawyer, and it was at that moment the pandemic was going on, and I was very interested into online marketing. So I want to ask you, how do you help someone in that position, like someone who really wants to do something but who has so much fear and resistance to say yes to that dream inside of him or her?
Yeah, I think the fear and uncertainty is always there for every single one of us. But what I feel like what really helps is, first of all, is helping the person to really understand where they are versus where they want to be. And the most important thing is that people always feel like it's too general. Like we hear these buzzwords so much: financial freedom, time freedom, right? But the thing is that if it's too general, it's not specific enough, people still are not consciously or emotionally aware of what the problems really are. And I think that it's helping people to be more specific about what exactly the problems are, or what exactly are the things that they want to improve. Um, so that's the first part. And then we need to build a very specific goals in terms of where they want to be. Because that that part you still have to be very specific, like what exactly you want to do with a family. You cannot just say I just want to help people. What does that even mean to you, right? So be more specific. There's an image in your head. So when we do the visualization work every single day, because I do meditation to visualize where I want to be, there's that kind of emotional state because the image that is telling us that this is these things, that's what we want to do. These are the places where we want to be, so that we can actually feel the momentum, feel the inspiration, feel the positive energy that can help us to take actions every single day. So I feel like being more specific about where you are, where you want to be, that's the very most important things that I feel like a lot of people probably they're not super clear about, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
and also that I think the second part is after you establish the clarity about where you are, where you want to be, it's really asking yourself that what is that you need to do to put yourself in the best position to get to where you want to be. So that could be different paths. That's why some people they're looking for ways of doing e-commerce business. Some people want to have a YouTube channel. That's all good. I think, there's so many different ways of making money and living the life you want to live. I think that as long as you know the why and then what, I think the how is gotta be the most straightforward part. You just find a mentor and teach you the things, and you put in the work and implement. That part is the easiest thing. Yeah.
So what you help people is to get down to like get clear on that why and that what.
Yes. I think the why probably is the most important thing because people always they are looking for the how, but they don't know their why, right? So that's why there's a book written by Simon Sinek, Start with Why. I think the why ultimately is the reason that why you feel so solid internally, that why you do what you do. Because people don't have that why. That's why they feel the job is miserable. That's why they feel that life is boring. Because ultimately, whatever you do, you're doing a repetition all the time, doing the same task all the time. It's not going to be like every day is different, right? But it's the why makes you feel like it's worth it. You feel so grounded. So you just keep doing what you're doing.
Amazing. So, how do you do this? Because I mean, so most people, when they think about a closer, someone in sales, they think someone who is pushing you something. They want to sell you something. So, how do you like get to that why for people when they don't even know it themselves sometimes?
Right. So I think that really depends on every individual situation. Because for some individuals, probably I would recommend them to read the book Start with Why or doing a homework exercise to like journaling, to help them kind of little by little, because it's going to be very hard sometimes to within 30 minutes you try to figure out a person's why, right? So that's why I feel like doing a journaling exercise with them would be very helpful. For some other people, I think it's really about asking questions, because if a good question is that it helps you to self-reflect, if it's a good question always helps you to get the answer for yourself. But if you don't know the answer, that means that's a good question. That's something you need to ponder. You know what I mean? But we are talking about the questions is not just about a logical thing, like getting rich quick or just having the financial freedom because the job sucks. That's too surface level, but really is asking more questions like what exactly you feel like this job doesn't give you the fulfillment you're looking for. What specifically makes you feel that way? And what have you done to figure out that if there's any other ways that can helping you, right? So I think a lot of times is that people are not super aware of their situation just because of society we hear so much about financial freedom, time freedom, then people all want the same thing. It's kind of like getting hyped up so much. So I feel like I need to let people just calm down a little bit. Um, just kind of see see the situation in a different ways, more of a rational kind of way, to really understand that how long the situation been like that, what have you done? And if you never did anything, why now you really are looking to do something? So people need to be very clear about how to answer these questions for themselves, not for me. Because the more clear, more solid, more confident about the answers to these questions themselves, then that will give them the certainty and the courage, the momentum to really go do things that can change their situation for the better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because when we were in that conversation in 2020, I remember you really went deep and actually pushed me to go out of my comfort zone, because I was also like, yeah, I want to make money online, but at the end of the day, it was kind of a family situation with my mother, and you even coached me through that. So I'm curious, because your role is an enrollment coach. So how does this differ to a salesperson?
Um, well, I mean, ultimately, I feel like it's kind of like being influential on people. I think that's really what it is about. It's kind of like you're talking to your friends. You believe that what might be helpful to your friends, but you cannot make a decision for your friends. But your friends have to be the ones to tell you that that's what they want to do. So once we establish, okay, Santiago, this is what you want to do. Okay, good. So what do you feel like is stopping you now? Just go do it. And you will say, okay, maybe I don't have the money. Okay, that's totally cool. It like if the money is the only problem you have there, then what we can do to fix that problem. That's really, I think back in 2020, I was talking to you about that situation is that you're not just being a spoiled child just to get free money from your mother, right? Your mother is a businesswoman. So you do the way how businessmen do is that I told you to draft an agreement, and then sign your name and let your mom sign a name on your agreement.
Yeah.
So it's kind of make her feel like you're being serious, right? You're not just kind of want some free money from your mother to do some programs. So I think to you also that it means something to you. I hope that this is something serious that you're committed to. So I feel like it's more about if you know exactly this is what you want and this is the only obstacle you have, then you just need to you just got to figure out how to solve the obstacles so it can get to where you want to be. But I think that this part a lot of people don't want to do is because also there's a fear and a mindset issue. For example, talking to some people, right? They take a loan to get to get a fancy car or buy a house, and
Yeah.
then they come over to you to say they want to start a business, but obviously they don't have the money and the credit to do it because they spend all these resources on the house and the fancy car. So obviously everyone has their own unique situation. I don't want to judge them, but for some people, I do. After communicating with them, I figure out is that you said that you want a freedom, you want a business, but your action shows something different because you go get a car by taking the loan. So it seems that tells us that you want a fancy car more than a business. That's what your action tells us. Even though you say you want the opposite, right? So I think that we just got to be real with ourselves. What do you want the most? Because your words need to align with your actions, right?
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to kind of see these kind of scenarios from different people. I think it's just about a decision making process. I think might be able to be improved. You know what I mean?
Why do you think people do that? I mean, we all do that. Like we
Because
say,
we like cars, I guess. We really love these fancy cars, even though it doesn't give us the financial return on investment, right? It's a desire. So I think we need to look into is that why we want a business in the first place, why we want something else in the first place, right? So that means there's not so much a clarity in terms to back up yourself why you want something else so badly enough. Because right now your action shows you want a fancy car more than anything else. But are you focused on the short term? Are you focused on the long term? Why is it so important for you to focus on long term rather than the short term? Right? A fancy car is great. You can buy a fancy car, it feels good. You're like the king in the car. But in the long term, do you feel like you will be happy if you're not doing the things that could help you to achieve your goals in the long term? So which path you want to choose, I think that's really the bottom line, right?
right.
So again, these things you have to be real with yourself. It's not like you're talking to your enrollment coach and you're trying to satisfy that person or you try to save your faces to show that you're a good person, you are perfect. That's not the purpose. If you really don't feel like at the end of the day, after discussion, we figure out a business is not what you want, walk away. That's not what you want. So it's okay. Why you have to want a business just like everybody else? That doesn't make any sense. So I just want them to be real with themselves. It's okay. I'm not here to judge you. You don't have to feel like you're being judged or anything. So just, if this is not what you want, that's okay.
And do you find people have a lot of resistance in doing that, like accepting their true desires?
I feel like maybe people try to save their faces sometimes. Sometimes I feel like it's very hard for them to. They feel like they book a card because they have to tell you the things that they're supposed to say. Like, yeah, I want this, I want this. You know. So I feel like very small amount of people actually are very real. Like sometimes I feel like, oh, okay, so this is not what you want actually, based on we being asking questions because they say I don't know. The answer is all I do not know. So then I feel like you need to do more journaling to kind of figure out. Or maybe I could improve myself in terms of asking good questions because I'm not perfect. I'm just doing the best I can to help them, but I cannot help every single person, that's for sure. Right. So I'm all constantly kind of trying to figure out how I can help people too. So
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely such a different approach to sales. And how did you discover this world of high ticket sales? And yeah, we can call it like that.
yeah, absolutely. So back then I was looking to different like a mindset personal development program, definitely Danlock HTC kind of pop up, right? So I know that a lot of people say bad things about that the Danlock. We can find all these videos talking about shit about Danlock. But the fact is that so many people definitely gain a complete different perspective from him. Now, maybe some people are not because they already are business owners. Obviously, maybe that program to them is kind of like a two surface level, to one like a one-on-one. It's like entry level. But to me, like I never knew any of these kind of perspectives, the mindset. So I feel like he really had an impact on me. And obviously, moving on, when you wanna learn more about sales, how to help people, definitely I did, Eli Wild, the Jeremy Miner, all these different the other sales training programs that they are more helping people who are already in sales for some time. So that's a complete different target audience compared to Dan Lok. I think that a lot of people are completely newbie to the sales world. They never thought about doing sales, because the program is not, it was not just say it's a sales program, right? It's a high ticket closing side. We don't even know what the closing was. Like that
Mhm.
was not even a buzzword back then until later on, everyone started using these buzzwords. Now everyone's talking about high ticket closing. So I just feel like, yeah, I really feel glad to be able to explore, and I got to know a whole different world, different way of thinking because of Dan Lok. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like, for me too, Dunlop was definitely a before and after. Especially because, like you say, it's not so much about techniques. Like maybe he doesn't have the most advanced techniques, but it is like a complete different worldview and mindset shift. At least that was for me. I
Yeah,
was,
that's for me too. Yeah.
and that's the biggest difference. And like your identity changes.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
yeah. So what were you doing before closing and all these things?
I was an accountant.
Yeah. And what led you, I mean, if you want to share what led you to get into online business and all these things.
I just ran into some different kind of Facebook groups back in 2018. Back then, like it was completely new to me. I didn't know anything about it, and I was watching the YouTube channels as well. So I was just kind of, it just got me feel so curious about all these online business owners, what they are talking about, because I never heard any of these things back in school, from the workplace, from my parents. No one. I don't have that environment, all the business owners around me. I don't have any business owner friends. So that I think like the online social media platforms kind of opened my eyes. So then that's how I got into all these different like a mentorship programs and started my journey, kind of working on my mindset, most importantly, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you were talking a lot about the why, the mission, all these things. And I know right now you are on an organization that is very mission driven.
Yep.
How does that help you? Just yeah, on your everyday life or work when you hear remember that we are on a mission to impact 1 million lives.
First of all, I think like the business owner Bashar himself, I think he's a generous guy for sure. Like I've been with the company for over a year and a half. I think that part really stood out to me compared to many other business owners I probably encounter, work with. I just feel like he's different. And I think that he focused so much on the mission statement, and we have a mission statement for the company and the core values, which I feel like a lot of times we're just talking about hitting the KPI, collecting more cash and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, if I don't know, just to me, it feels kind of dry in a way. If it just every day you just collect cash, it just doesn't feel there's anything deep. Do you know what I mean? It's very surface level. So at least doesn't work for me. I know for some people, they just like, let's go, just grab the money. Some people just literally get excited because of that, which is totally cool because everyone has different value system, I think. So whatever works for you. But for me, like I feel like it's important that I would feel so empty inside if it's just about closing a deal, because it's just a closing deal. So what?
Yeah, and I don't know. For me, at least, I was very money driven the first years
Uh-huh.
of my career,
Uh-huh.
but it was because I was in a lot of scarcity. But I think the more you grow, the more you start caring about all those other things, right? Like vision, values, the impact.
Yes. I think that's very important. Yeah.
So do you think this because I having known you for a while, I know I've seen how you really care about impacts and connecting with people. Do you think that, I mean, does that helps you in sales, and how?
I feel like I don't even want to talk too much about sales because sales is not just an independent topic in a way because like every single day when you're interacting with your friends, your family, you're sort of selling something like you're selling an idea where we should go eat, why we should do this first and do that later. So it's all always about like sharing different perspectives to see if the other person is open to see your perspective first of all, and then that person is willing to maybe do things in a different way. So there's like a mutual efforts in there. So I feel like if you really want to share sincerely, people can tell where you're coming from. So maybe they're more it's kind of easier for them to be able to step into a complete different angle and do things possibly in a different way. But again, it's a mutual effort. If they are not willing to see a different perspective, then I guess I need to figure out what other ways I can do to help people. But at the end of the day, like I mentioned, you cannot help every single person because some people they just have their own way of doing things. They are not willing to see from different perspective, which is totally fine. So as long as I did the part I did, there's no regrets on my part. So that's what I'm shooting for. No regrets.
Yeah. And have you ever used these like insights into psychology and these techniques on yourself, like to?
No, I think like on sales call, I think when it comes down to objection handling, it's more about intuition, kind of like being present and what do you feel your gut tells you what you should say. Um, I feel like if you keep thinking in your head about what's the next line and stuff, I mean, you're not being present. I tried that before. It doesn't work out well for me. So it's kind of just like a friend of mine who is a closer as well. He told me before is that think of it think of it as a group project. You're trying to solve a problem, trying to identify what exactly are the concerns, right? That's why we probe and clarify to see is it really the money problem make you feel scared or something else? Because people may feel bad to directly tell you the real reason. So first of all, you need to figure out what are the real concerns. So once you figure out the real concerns, then we can start to solve the problem. But without the first step, the second step is not going to be able to work. If people just tell you, I need to think about it, what does that even mean? Right? Is it the fear or is it because the money or is it because something else? That's a very general statement. I need to think about it. That's not specific enough. Again, I think we come back to the real in living a life. Every single thing we need to be very specific so we can actually know what the problems are and what solutions we can have to tackle these problems. Specificities are very important, I think.
I love that. So how do you, I mean, do you have any way of connecting to that intuition? Because like I saw recently that the founder of Mind Valley, I was surprised to see that he started in sales and he was actually a VP of sales, Vishen Lakiani. So it seems like there is like a spiritual component. I'm generalizing, but there's a spiritual component to sales for some people at least. Do you, I mean, does that resonate with you?
Um, I'm not exactly sure about spirituality, but I did work with a life coach who taught me about how to be present, and we did a lot of different exercises like deep breathing, cold shower, and focusing on the hearing, the visualizations, and smelling, all kind of different ways to help me stay present. I think ultimately is that because we are always so busy in our mind, that's why we are not paying attention to the other person's what they are saying, um, and what exactly is the things that they do not tell you directly, but you can sort of hear what are the unspoken words behind it. I think that's like it requires 100% being present, paying attention to all the subtle details when that person is talking, so that can helping you to intuitively to understand what's going on, what you should say. I think it's going back to the gut feelings as a human being. We all have gut feelings. If you don't have one, I would be very worried about it, what's happening to you. Because if you don't trust your guts, you don't have a gut feeling, that's a big problem. Because your mind is not supposed to solve all the problems. Sometimes I think a lot of times it's gut feeling. Trust your gut feeling and go for it. As long as your intention is to help people, that's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, some people can be helped. Some people might still need more time. That's why you follow up with people all the time in sales, right?
So is that kind of how you take decisions? Like, is this will this help other people, and is it real to me? Like, is it what I really desire, or like how my
Yeah,
question would be
it's just
like,
kind of being real. It's just kind of being
yeah.
real with them. Like, do you really want to solve the problem? Do you actually believe what we do here makes sense to you? Why? Right? So it's just like that person has to be very certain and clear about these questions. If he's not quite sure, then I will start to figure out like what exactly is the things you don't feel 10 out of 10 yet. Maybe you don't have the self-trust, then we need to deal with the fear mindset issue. If you don't trust us, okay, maybe I need to give you more material to build that trust about the company, the solution we have here, right? Obviously, if you don't trust me, then I definitely take ownership. Like probably I didn't do things in the right way. Maybe my tonality doesn't match yours or doesn't make you feel comfortable. Then I need to self-reflect what I can improve. Not everything is because of prospect issues, right? I have my own problems too. I need to improve because we are humans. Sometimes in the emotional state, that's still something that I've been still working on. Have the consistency of being a good emotional state, not being triggered by what they say or by whatever other things are happening in my life, right?
Wow.
So, so I think it's a lifetime journey to keep working on these emotional state, self-awareness, and being super zen on the call. Um, not being triggered, just being super objective and just talk about it things.
Yeah, I love that. Like at the end of the day, like coaching is I think the best coach is always like a mirror, right? It doesn't have,
Uh,
yeah. It should just reflect the other person without filter.
yeah.
So is there anything in particular that has helped a lot? You mentioned journaling, cold showers, anything in particular that really helps you to get into that sense state?
I think that also another thing is that loving people. I know that that's such a cliche to say love. I think like, helping people, loving people is a very heavy duty for me. Um, I feel like, sometimes I feel vulnerable. Like I don't feel like I have so much love for people. I get impatient on the call. Maybe I make the wrong assumptions. I make people feel like I'm judging them. I think that this whole process of being a communicator really helps me to self-reflect how much love I can expand for myself. I think that's a continuous journey and efforts for me because I feel like, yeah, a lot of times I don't feel like I love people enough, but I can love people more. I think it's just focusing on the word love. I think that's still something I'm continuing to working on. Even when you get it stuck in traffic, right? At the end of the day, you don't know what's happening on their end. You don't have enough empathy, right? So it's kind of like we justify our intention while judging other people's actions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what a combination.
Yeah, it's a weird combination, right? Because we tend to justify our intention. Hey, I didn't think in this way. You don't know me. But then when we judge other people, we don't ask, okay, what exactly is that person coming? Where is that coming from? You don't ask, you just directly judge that person. So I think it's a constant practice of minimize your judgments in your life. Don't judge people. Feel neutral first of all, and then add some positivity on it, so the energy can more lean towards the positive energy side. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. You mentioned it's a practice, it is a skill, it's something that we're actively pursuing and improving.
Right. You are training yourself in terms of your emotional muscle.
Would you like a custom plan to scale your business? If you want to increase profits without adding more complexity to your life, go to myplantoscale.com and get our free scaling guide right now. It will help you get clear on your business and life goals, ensure your business is optimized for growth, and simplify your schedule so you can focus on what truly matters. making more money while enjoying life and changing the world. Now, back to the show.
I'm more into copywriting, so there's been a lot of talks about AI replacing copywriters. But I know some people also say it on the sales side, or even coaching side. I mean, do you see that happening? Is that something that worries you at some level?
Actually, I'm not. I mean, it's got to be hard for me to believe that AI can 100% replace like coaches, therapists, because we need to connect with each other with our heart. But AI doesn't have hearts. AI just it just, we program the AI. So, I mean, I doubt it, to be honest. But if they really can create an AI like in the movies, TV shows, literally can be just like a human, well, I mean, that's gotta be crazy. Because I don't know. It's just hard to imagine.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. Yeah, because I mean, it can say the right things, but I think what you're speaking about is the real thing that's happening on any human interaction.
Yeah, it's based on intuition, the emotions. So I'm not sure how powerful the programming can really achieve to make a AI, to make a robot to really be flexible and just based on what you say, based on your tonalities, to read through you. Man, it's kind of crazy to even think about that. It's gotta be dangerous also in another way, you know what? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have to read like your body signals, and yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but if you think about it, like you basically helped me change my life with questions. It's so powerful, this skill of asking the right questions.
Yeah, I think asking questions is more important than answering the questions, at which, when we were little kids or students back in school, we always feel like, at least for me, like I feel like it's cool to be able to answer all the questions the teachers ask us. But actually, it's more important to be able to ask the right questions, because if you don't know how to ask the right questions, you will not be able to evaluate what opportunities are good or what opportunities are not good. You know what I mean?
And what is something that you ask yourself every day or repeatedly?
Um, I think right now it's very, very simple. Is this what you want? And have you done enough to figure that out? If no, if the answer is no, then you shouldn't judge, say, oh, I don't feel like this thing is for me because you haven't put in enough reps, the intensity. You know what I mean? So it's pretty much like it's a very intuitive question answer. Is this what you want? If it's not what you want, just you just move on instead of being attached to it because of something else. Does that make sense?
So is this what I want? And if it is, have you done enough?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in your case, I mean, what would you say is your personal why? Because we spoke about like BJK and all these things. For you, what's that thing that yeah, that drives you?
Being a better human being every day. I know it sounds cliche, but I think to me that means something. Because all I do right now is all personal development related. I'm not staying on the super technical side doing accounting, finance, these kind of stuff. So how I can grow as a person to make me feel like compared to 3 years ago, I feel like I grow so much, particularly the mindset wise. I feel like that's really make me feel like this is really good. I wish I could I could have known all these when I was younger.
What would you tell your 20-year-old person?
Uh I would say like 20-year-old. Man, I was just in college playing video games, all these stuff, and just study. I feel like maybe be more open-minded to reach out to different groups of people rather than just people who are, just kind of studying hard and get good, like they all get good grades. I feel like I've been, I was kind of pretty stuck in that environment of A students. In a way, I feel like Sometimes you see all the other entrepreneurs, the people who have the success, they're not necessarily straight A students back in school. But I think the traditional value system, especially Chinese culture, is always about you got to surround yourself with A students because that's the only way to go towards the so-called success in life. I feel like, but I don't think that's the real only path there. But I didn't know back then. So that was the only mindset I had. And until later on, I found a different path and then it started to make me rethink about life and self-reflect and just now I'm on a complete different path.
Yeah, I love it because right now you are doing that for others. You are helping them do that transformation too.
Right. I think they're helping me too. It's not just I'm helping them, they're helping me too, right? Am I asking the right question? Maybe some question did not work for some people. And the why I got triggered, right? They're helping me too. And the mistakes they are making, the mindset may not be able to serve them the best, also tells me that I need to avoid that for myself, right? They serve as examples to me to remind me I shouldn't be doing that. So I think it's a mutual effort. They're helping me, I'm helping them too. They're helping me to realize, wow, this is what's happening in the world. Well, this is what's happening to a lot of people, you know? I feel like they're adding value to me as well.
That's crazy. And what kind of things do you see that are happening around the world? Like, because
no, it's just like because we talk to people from all over the world. You will all like when I was a kid, probably think, oh, maybe you're from Italy, you're from Spain, that guy's from Japan, and different cultures and stuff. Maybe people are just so different, but it's not. Like you talk to people, people's desire are very similar. It's like everyone wants more security, more fulfillment, more freedom. Same thing. Like the situations they share, they're not happy with. There's not so much of a big difference across the world. You know what I mean? And the mindset about how we are conditioned by society, like getting a loan for a business is a bad thing, but getting a loan for a house, for a car is very normal. That doesn't make any sense in the first place. Now you think about it, right? So I think, there's a pattern there, but people are not aware of it. So I think that's why we need to step in to help them to see a different perspective. And hopefully over time, they will start to have that kind of mindset shift.
And do you feel that right now people are more resistant into getting into coaching programs that, for example, some years ago? Because I work with a lot of coaches, and sometimes I don't know if it's because I'm inside this bubble, but sometimes the space is very saturated.
Yeah, there are so many coaches out there right now. I think that people are resistant is because I think it's a resistant, but it's more like people are overwhelmed. They do not know who they can trust. I think that's the biggest thing based on the people I talk to. Everyone is doing marketing, everyone is doing webinar, everyone is doing all the same things to promote themselves. So it's hard for them to see through the real, legit path, the mentors out there that can actually help them. I think that is the biggest challenge for a lot of people. I feel the same way. Like you search the life coaches, there's how many life coaches out there, right? There's too many. And some you did with them, you don't feel there's that transformational feelings. Some are good. I think ultimately is trust your gut feeling based on I definitely need to go through a lot of material and videos. So I ask myself, do I see myself to get coaching from that person? If it's a yes, I would do it. If it's a no, I wouldn't do it. So I think we're constantly practicing to trust our gut feeling because our mind gets overwhelmed when all these information just kind of flow through the gates. You know what I mean? It's overwhelming. Then when you feel overwhelmed, you just say, okay, I don't want to do it anymore. I just go out there and do eating, play video games, whatever. You know what I mean? So I think it's a process to keep asking ourselves, what does our gut feeling say to us?
Yeah, I'm kind
I
of
think ultimately it doesn't matter what happened. There's a gut feeling there, and your gut feeling is always right. At least my experience is. Because every time I feel like I'm looking back and making the wrong decisions, it's because I'm trying to overcome my gut feeling. Because I feel like my mind is smarter, can make a better decision. But I don't think every time is the case.
Do you sometimes find it hard? Because I do find it hard to differentiate between gut feeling and
Yeah, that's the
fear.
part. Like,
I don't know.
yeah, because that's the part. I don't know how to describe it. It's you need a constant practice to know your gut feeling. I think that's the part you have to work with yourself. But you definitely will make the wrong decision. Then you look back into your wrong decision. Why? I think that's really the key, right? Because back then, when a friend of mine recommended me a program, by the way, I really trust this friend. He's really a good person. He's good at what he does. He told me about this mentor is really good, but I watched the video that really feel that person resonated with me. But I still bought the program,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't absorb what that person was saying in the program. So later I figure out, okay, it's because I don't feel that person resonate with me, even though I trust my friend. But then I didn't listen to my gut feeling. I just still went for it, which I wouldn't do again because I feel like I didn't trust my gut feeling. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. I love that. Something I love the whole practice, and I spoke to with Daniel Matallana,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and it's so interesting because he's also an amazing closer and
Yep.
coach, and he says the same things. Like it's all about connecting with others and with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an art. It's an art, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for you? I mean, or do you have any projects in the makings? What does the future hold for you?
Um, Actually, I feel like I'm very open to whatever is possible in life. I'm not giving myself any structure to kind of make myself feel limited. I feel like right now being present is more about continue to helping myself to grow and helping other people with what I've learned, and making an impact, um, to add value to each other through through a conversation. You know, that's still, I think that's the continuous mission purpose for me.
Yeah. However that looks like.
Yeah, it's just different path, but you achieve the same mission purpose, right? The mission purpose, the foundation is the same. It's just different paths to impact people in different ways, but the essence stay the same, I would say.
Yeah.
Different shapes and forms. Yeah.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Also for a company, like you were saying, like if you only focus on the result, on the KPI, and all those things, it's always about what you can get externally, but not about what drives you.
Yeah. I feel like over time you will feel super dry, super boring, and then you were looking for some other shiny objects. And then every time at the beginning, everything feels, oh, it's so interesting. But over time you feel, it's getting boring. But is it because you don't have a deep why behind it? That's why it's making you feel boring, or it's something else, right?
I love it. Thank you so much. I think this was, yeah, like I said, I will always be grateful to you and I respect you so much. Where can people find out more about you if they want to connect or just say hi?
Oh, I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, and the company BJK University. We have our own Facebook group. Instagram was Bashar. So yeah, there's so many different ways nowadays. Everything is open on social media. So yeah, super easy.
Thank you so much, man.
No problem.
Yeah, it was great
Appreciate it.
having you on the show.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed the show, hit the share button and send it over to one fellow marketer or entrepreneur. We work hard to make sure they'll thank you for it. Also, to get featured on the show, go to valuetising.com and apply to become our next guest. Until next time, keep valuetizing.